Hello. Today I'm going to talk about one of the many universal laws, and this one is around the law of rhythm. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I feel it's probably one of the more prominent and necessary universal laws that we are remembering to come back to at this point in our time. Time's a funny thing. These are all notations. You can take it or leave it. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. But if it's resonating with you, stick around. And if it doesn't, but you're curious, you're welcome to stay. So, yes, there's a number of universal laws. I'm not going to explain what they are. I guess the best way I can explain in a nutshell what universal laws are. They're usually laws that are outside and beyond the human created law, and human created laws that we often sort of use to navigate a lot of our everyday life, to various forms of transactions and relationships that we have. And these laws are not really something that you necessarily take to the courtroom and fight them. Because they go beyond the courtroom. Anyway, I'm laughing because of various reasons, and if you know me personally, you would understand why. I won't go too much into that, or at all in this sharing. Anyway, so life has a rhythm, it has a rhyme, it has a flow. These are not necessarily my words. I'm sure they've been spoken many times before. They're probably written all over. You probably find Instagram quotes of them. Certain deities or whatever probably said them. There's probably ancient hieroglyphics that state this, whatever, This is not news. This is just old rememberings of ancestors that have gone before us. So I guess the understanding of this law can really help you with like riding through the waves, watching the wave come up and going through it. And obviously, the way that we are, it seems easier to really sort of really embody the universal law of rhythm when things are going pretty high and they're pretty good. And obviously when they don't seem to be going as well, it's can be a bit harder to remember about the law of rhythm and remember about just writing it out when things are not. Don't appear so happy, chap. And, obviously, with the law of rhythm, you want to be observing your thoughts and your emotions, feeling them if you need to for the emotions, letting them pass through, letting them go, with thoughts, identifying them. Oh, yeah, I see you. Oh, sometimes you might want to go into where does that come from. Sometimes it's not necessary because you don't want to create further attachment to that thought and create more story with it. But you say, oh, okay, I see you. Interesting. And let it go through. So, yeah, another thing around, less attachments is obviously having less attachments to outcomes. We can sometimes forget that the universe may actually have something even more amazing in store than what we had created in our mind or we had attached ourselves to. Like, that's the way it's going to be, or that's the outcome. And that outcome was like crumbling and you're like, oh my God, I'm failing, or, this inner talk you might have in your head, or oh no, it didn't work out, or it's not exactly how I wanted, and then whoop, you go around the corner, you're like, wow, oh, that's why, okay, so now there's even a better thing. Oh, should have let that go a long time ago. So yeah, and another way, obviously, to really embrace and embody the universal law of rhythm is just recognizing the cycles of life and how that can happen, in the micro level and the macro level. For me as a woman, and I'm going through I'm in the menstruating period of my life, which means I have to recognize and, celebrate the cycles in which that goes through with my being. And if I want to get the best out of my life at that point in time, I need to recognize, oh, this is part of the cycle. I want to do this. Okay, I'm going with that. This part of the cycle, oh, I want to do this. Okay, I'm going to honor that. So, you know, that's just one example. And you don't have to be a menstruating woman, you know, going through your own moon cycles to experience that, because, you know, we're all interconnected in some way. So, you know, it's good to get other people in your life that are part of your life on board with that too. And it also means that, you know, they get to know you better and understand where you're at. So, yeah, and there's a lot to be learned in that. And, you know, putting gender and biology all outside of that, you know, we often have seasons. Depending on where you are, you might only experience 2 seasons in a year, in you know, that calendar that we currently reside in. You know, 365 days, whatever it is, with the leap year thing, la-di-da. Or you might live in a place where there's 4 seasons. So honouring that, what is it that the land and the environment is doing? Okay, so how can I be embracing the cycle and the rhythm of that? And how can I use that to make sure that I'm serving others in the best way possible? You know, if it's a time of resting, so I can fill up my cup so that then I can just have so much to fill up everyone else's cup with later, that's absolutely fine. So you honour that if it's a resting part of that cycle. If it's then a more of a pushing part of the cycle, okay, I've got to get out, I've got to be really active, I've got to, you know, get this thing moving, going forward, then go with that if that's part of the cycle. And, you know, if we want to go a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger, you know, the earth itself is going through, it's transitioning out at the end of a period of a cycle. And, you know, it's moved on, basically. It's moving on to another period of the cycle. And, you know, that has its macro effects, which then in turn affects the micro, the more individual, the smaller parts of that. And, you know, that's why a lot of what is going on in the world is going on in the world. And I don't need to get into details around that. And, you know, if this story doesn't resonate with you, that's absolutely fine. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. But I would like to say the new world is here. And we're just going through the little transitionary period. So, you know, embrace that universal law of the rhythm. Do that in your life, you know, your individual life. Look at how you can do that with your business, with your work, with your community as well, with your family, yeah? When you get into the embracing of the rhythm of the life, it just becomes, you're no longer fighting as much. You know, I can't guarantee anything. This is not like, sign here and you will be guaranteed, la-da-da-da-da. You know how it works. So, just some ponderings, just some notations. You're welcome to leave any comments or questions down below. There's a comments section if you're watching this on YouTube, of course. There's also various other social media links you can find me on as well. And I will see you in the next video.